Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I just want to reach out to all of you beautiful souls out there, see how all of you are doing. I hope you were able to get out in nature sometime today. It was a very beautiful day, and today it was a very special day for me because I was celebrating my mommy's day today instead of on Mother's Day. So it was a very beautiful time with my both of my son and daughter. You know, um, it's kind of weird. Normally I celebrate with my daughter-in-law and my grandson, but they were away, so it was just my kids. So anyway, I do want to reach out to all of you out there and to see how are you doing. I hope all of you are doing well, and I hope you are taking really good care of yourself. I hope you're not being too hard on yourself or others. Remember, you never know what other people are going through. So, like if you're out in public, there's sometimes I see some strange things, and I'm like, you know what, Starlight, just don't look over there. Do your thing. Just, you know, a blind eye to that right now, because you just don't know what people are going through. And so anyway, I do love all of you, and now I can start, like working on making this video is if you like this video, you could give it a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you could share it with a friend or a family member or even your pets or, like the not so furry friends. So anyway, I also you can leave a message down below this video. Plus, if you want to, you can get a hold of me on Instagram, and that is at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook at Kathy with a K Dingman. And if you want to find my YouTube channel, you can at Starlight, and that's with Kathy with a K Dingman. So anyway, I want to reach out to all of you, and today's the topic of, do you have a hard time forgiving people? That's a very, that can be very hard to forgive people that have done you wrong. And, like I know, like I'd have to say in my past time is really, it was not so much of forgiving them. It was trying to figure out why. I was on this why did they do this kind of thing. So and then I was learning about forgiveness when I went to church about forgiving people, and then I was reading my Bible and studying it, learning about, like, if you want God to forgive you, well, you gotta forgive other people. God's not going to forgive you if you're holding a grudge, like because nobody's perfect. That's the whole point. None of us are perfect. Starlight's not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say I am perfect. I am far from it. I tried years ago. I tried so hard to be perfect. And where did that get me? Absolutely nowhere. Because then when I thought I was perfect, then it added to another problem because then I thought I was better than everybody. And because I was in this cult church, and that was the attitude that was in that church is, like where then you're always pointing your finger at, oh, look at, oh, I can see everybody's thing that they're doing wrong, and where now you're the guilty one. Now you are the problem. It's not any more of anybody else out there. God is watching you too, so and I didn't like my attitude. I didn't want to feel like I thought I was better than anyone, so anyway, that's what I want to reach out to you is, like, have you ever had like a lot of people, we've been hurt from the past, either family, like relationships, or, like friends. You might have thought they were your friend, or friends, and then maybe something you did, and then, they turned their backs on you, or maybe they were gossiping about you and you found out about it. Or, there's so many things. The list can go on and on and on and on. You might have had somebody that stole your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and you trusted them with them, and you're like, hey, like my girlfriend can hang out with him, and he's my friend, and or she can hang out, or like vice versa, where that stuff goes on. And then you could lose like a loved one, but was it just your friend? No, was the one that you were with too, that did the bad thing, by cheating or whatever. Um, there's people that steal from us, they might take things from us or lie to us, where we think they're our friends, where, or family members, they could have, you could have gone through some hardship as a kid growing up with your mom or dad or brothers or sisters, or, your cousins, your aunts and uncles, can't forget those either, or grandpas and grandmas, there's no one out there, like, it's pretty much anybody and everybody, or, even a stranger. And, there's so many ways, or your uh, like your kids might do something, like are you gonna hate them for the rest of their life because they were being kids? Are you gonna constantly rub it in their face of what they did 5 years ago? How about your relationships? Is that what you're gonna do? Maybe your loved one did something 3 years ago, and anytime you have a problem, you just bring up the same problem again, and you're like, yeah, well, like I never will forget what you did 3 years ago. Well, that was 3 years ago. What are you doing in your heart space when you're like that? Really. Hang on, I just gotta adjust this really quick here. So, is you really do. You want to let that go. And like I said, I've had lots, like, and you might relate to this, lots of it happen, in life where, like if you don't forgive them, you're holding that in your heart space, whether you know that or not, and what I was doing in my past is, and this is kind of how I was my whole life is, you know, I wish I had some dirt here. I can't even think of anything that I can use, but you know, um, so anyway, imagine that you have a friend or a family member, right? And first, you got like a flat land here, and you know, they they lie to you, so then that, you got a little hill, like you're like, yeah, well, that's my family member or a friend or a relation, like a relative, I mean, like a loved one, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband. Maybe they were lying to you, and lying is a very serious thing, though, because then where's your trust? If you can't trust the one that you're with, you might want to really think about, really, should you be in that relationship? Really, I'm serious about that. Trust is one of the biggest things. My opinion, and I know we all have opinions, and they're like my armpits. They all, ooh, just kidding. It's too funny. Anyway, is that we all have armpits and they all stink, right? At times. And so anyway, is my opinion on, people being honest or dishonest. You might even have a relative that is some relatives or friends or whoever that might have an addiction to lie. So much that they believe their own bull. Shit. They actually do. They lie so much. I don't know. Have you ever met anybody like that? They lie so much. And even if you catch them, they'll deny it. Number one, they'll deny it, or they'll act like it never happened. Or they can't remember, like that's another one. And that the weird thing is that they start believing their own stuff. They start believing that what they, because they've been lying so much, they don't even know the truth anymore. So you might know family members like that, that has a addiction of lying, which when it comes to a loved one, that's tough. I mean, if you're a kid growing up and your parents are lying to you, what are you going to turn out like, right? You're going to live by example. There's verses in the Bible that bring up a child and the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So if you are a bad example, and then, if you're a liar and you're lying to your kids, and now your kids are lying, should you discipline them for that? Really, if you're teaching them in the way that they should go by being that example of lying to them, why should you discipline them? Some people actually will beat their kids, if they catch their kids lying, because truth, being honest, is very important, like in all aspects of our life. And being on that topic about being truthful, that was my I got so many topics that I want to talk about, but being truthful is so important. Being truthful to your family, being truthful to your friends, being truthful to your boss, being truthful to your loved ones, to your children, to your parents, you know, um, out when you go to work, now the government, no, just kidding. The law, ooh, are we going to be truthful with it? We get pulled over and the officer's like, hey, like they catch you doing something. Are you going to try to lie to get out of it? Hey, pulling you over because you were zigzagging around on the road. Have you been drinking and driving, sir? Or girl, lady? Oh, no, no, officer, I have not. Where you're like you're like, oh, shoot. You're caught. You know it, but, you don't want to get caught, by the police officer about drinking and driving, but they know, they could tell, sometimes you could be tired though. You might have not have been drinking and driving, because being tired, like has a really bad effect on you. I've actually done that before where things do change, like when you're driving, you're so tired and your eyes, like you just don't have enough energy. You don't want to pull over. You're so close to getting home. It's dark out, like you could be on the thruway. You can't really pull over on the side of the road and sleep there. Well, not really, and you're like, oh, I can do this, I can do this. And then the road signs, it's the same kind of similar thing that happens when you're drinking and driving is that, the road sign might say, like a certain number. And when you're drinking and driving, you'd be like, oh, does that say 75, where it might say a different number. It might say 35, and you might be like looking at it where things get fuzzy looking. And the other thing that happens is that like construction sites with all the lights and all that stuff and the lines where you might not even know what side of the road you're supposed to be on because, that can really mess you up when you're driving or even sleepy and being tired, really tired, where it does play tricks on your eyes. You're like, you just don't want to pull over. But really, I've actually had drove before where I was just like, where I felt like I could block right out, during driving, and that's not a very good thing to do. So, like anyway, with liars, there's a lot in the Bible about that, whether that's true or not, right? Like, do you believe in hell or heaven? Or is it a state of a mind? Or is it, like somebody, like made that up to scare everybody to, like to believe that you're going to get sent to hell and you're going to burn in, fire for eternity, you know, where there's a lot of people that go to church and they are afraid that they're going to go to hell. I used to go to church and I was afraid, and then I got saved, and I'm like, and did I really need to get saved? So there's liars all around. The government lies to us, the people on the, like the news. So if you're being a bad example, those are things that you got to be careful of with your kids. And other things about forgiveness, I know I'm getting a little off track. It's just so much involved on this topic here, is, like forgiving people. Maybe they abused you when you were younger as a kid, or maybe you were in an abusive relationship, and that goes for males or females. Women can be abusive too, or even verbally abusive. Maybe they're, you know, um, people could play mind games with you and mess with your head kind of stuff, that kind of abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, calling you names and telling you like you're, all kinds of weird names people can call you, like you slut, you're a whore, you know, I don't know if males would call females more names or females would call guys names, you cunt, that's a famous one. Um, those are really bad names where you could, like after a while, you know, like, if you've been called names repeatedly over and over again, even calling your kids names, like, what are you, stupid? And guys can do that with women too. Like, what are you, stupid? Downing you. That verbal abuse is very painful. You know, um, so there's the physical abuse of being beaten either by your parents or your brothers or sisters, could beat you, or like you might have been sexually messed with as a kid either by your parents, your dad or mom, or your brothers or sisters. All that stuff happens out in this world. Or maybe you put yourself in a bad situation out in public somewhere. You got to be safe, really. I do have a lot of tips when it comes to dating sites because I was really didn't know any better, and I did learn the hard way. So you could go out and have something really horrible happen to you because you weren't thinking clear. You know, um, and that does happen to a lot of women out there mainly, and guys. This can happen to men too, where they could go out and meet a stranger somewhere, and maybe they weren't thinking. 'Cause sometimes you don't want to be alone anymore and you get kind of in a desperate mode, or maybe your chemicals are all mixed up, where you might put yourself in really dangerous situation and not care at the time, and where really bad stuff could really happen to you out on dating apps, like meeting men or women, and you could have gone through some horrible deal, and maybe, like family, maybe you have not been able to forgive your family members, something they did, when you were a baby or when you were growing up, when you were a kid, maybe they would name call, like calling you names or beat you, like severely, like in a long time ago before I was born, they didn't really have a lot for the kids out there as far as abuse goes, where it took a long time for anybody to actually find out that these poor kids were being abused by their parents, and so around the time I was born, that's when, somewhat they were starting to help kids out, but it wasn't really popular as it is now. Now it's more they notice it more now, the signs of children, that have been abused by their family members, whether it's their parents or their brothers or sisters or relatives that were from the family or even friends of the family. So, did you have a hard time like with forgiving your mom or your dad for beating you, or calling you names? Maybe, like when they call you names, it affects you for the rest of your life, even today. You know, um, no matter how old you are, that stuff can still affect you today. So and that's what I've been learning is to stay in the present, stay in the now. You don't want to, like sit there and think about what they did over and over and over and over again, because it's gonna ruin you. It's gonna, it really is not gonna help you to heal at all. So if somebody has done something to you, like in the past, like your mom or dad or anybody in your family, you gotta, this is hard. I never understood it, but it says in the Bible that you gotta forgive them for they know not what they do. And that is a really tough thing, is to let that go. And this is, like to not that you're ever going to forget. You're always going to remember. Something's always going to trigger you to remember. Like you could go somewhere, you could see someone that kind of triggers you to remember what they did to you. Even like if you, like for me, like if I drive, my dad lives in the same house, the same trailer where I was a kid. So even if I drive in that area, boom, like I could get hit with triggers. So those are not fun to have triggers, and triggers are things that anything. I mean, somebody could say something, like any object or holidays or dates could trigger you, like maybe, like all kinds of things can trigger you in a bad way, though. You might see something on the news about something happening to somebody else, and it could trigger to what happened to you when you were a kid. Or you could go on the news, on the movies, watch a movie. I don't know why. That's why I don't watch movies right now, as I was always watching the worst stuff on there. Stuff that really could happen or does happen. Like women getting raped. I don't know why. I was just so drawn into watching. Like I was learning a lot. That's what I was felt like it was like a way of educating myself of the do's and nots, do's and don'ts. Like kids getting beaten or serial killer movies, like I was watching all this dark stuff, and that's why I got rid of my Netflix, like, and then because I would watch these movies, these horrible movies about girls, like maybe their fathers were doing something sexual with them, or maybe they were getting beaten by their parents or whoever, like relationships, and it triggers, that's why it's not good to watch those movies like that, especially if you've had, like a bad past with your family members, or even those cop shows that they have. I used to really watch those, but they are really depressing, really. You might learn a lot of stuff on there, like about things that can happen with boys and girls, because even boys go through bad stuff, where men are after little boys, and trying to get them, train them up so they can have them to, like to do things with them. So even as I'm talking, I could be triggering you. But all those things is that it's so serious that you got to forgive those people. And I'm not saying that it's easy. It's not easy one bit at all, and you're never going to forget. Something's always going to trigger you somewhere along the line. You might be doing fine, like you might not even go around them, like, and somebody might even say, like something out there in the world anywhere, and it could trigger you, you know. So you gotta forgive those people, because the reason why I'm telling you this is, if you don't forgive those people, then what's happening is that, like I said in the Bible, it does say, like, like for God to forgive you, you'd have to really learn to forgive other people. And that is to let it go. And what I've found, that is the easiest way, like I prayed to forgive them. I asked God to help me to forgive them. And I bawled like a little baby when I did that. And even those people that did so much to me, later on I tried to get them to go to church. I wanted to see them to go to heaven. I did not want them to go to hell. Where you might believe that there's a hell, and you might believe that there's a heaven, like the way the Bible says, and you might be like, oh, you know, I want that person to go to hell. They deserve to go to hell. They deserve to be burnt in fire and brimstone and all that stuff, and spend the rest of eternity. That way they don't ever live again and ever do that to another child or another girl or boy or whatever, or even animals, you know. They did have a TV series called Dexter, which I really liked, and I learned a lot from that. That's a bloody show, though, I have to say. And I kind of fell in love with the guy because, he was destroying people out there that were doing horrible things to people, horrible stuff, and I really would encourage you to watch that, really, because it is a deep show. It has a lot of insight of how a serial killer thinks. I really believe I was around one before in my lifetime, where, and it's pretty weird, like, that you, that's why it's so, you really got to be careful out there, like on dating apps, because you don't know who you are getting involved with. There's some strange characters out on those sites, and I talked to a lot of them. I actually was talking to them just to kind of study them, learn different ways about men, and I learned a lot. Like I said in another video, is I wanted to really get paid to talk to men, help men out, you know. So, like maybe you're the type of person that, are you the type of person that somebody did something wrong to you and they say they're sorry and they meant it, but you can't forgive them. They're like, I am sorry for messing up. But instead of letting it go, then you just want to bring it up again. There's a lot of that going on where some people admit to that they did wrong and they're saying, hey, I messed up again. Like, are you getting tired of me messing up? Where I always seem to be the one saying, I'm sorry, and so if that person, what I learned when I went to church is, say if um, you did something wrong to somebody, right? And you wanted to do the right thing. And so you did. You said, you know what? I did something wrong. It was me. And it doesn't have to be a big thing, or maybe it was a big thing. Maybe you did something really bad. Like maybe like had sex with your friend's wife, like your well, you had sex with your friend's girlfriend or wife or whatever, or husband or boyfriend. Maybe you couldn't help yourself, but you had the opportunity and you took it and you had sex with that person, and later on they found out and maybe the relationship broke up, and then later on you feel bad because now you're no longer friends with that person anymore and you regretted what you did and you never can take it back because you already did it. It's already done, and the damage is already done, you know, um, and then years go on, where you go back to that person, maybe you meet them somewhere, you bump into them somehow or another, and as time goes by, maybe they realize that that person that they were with really wasn't a good person to be with anyway because they did cheat. They were guilty too. And where now you're talking, and then you get the nerve to say, hey, you know what? Then you found out who you actually had sex with, whether it's a guy or a girl, and you're like, now you goofed up, here you got suckered in just like your friend did, whether you're a guy or a girl, because this happens a lot out there, where now you feel horrible because you fell for something that they fell for, and now you're saying, I am sorry for messing up. I should have never went with your girlfriend. I should have never went with your boyfriend or husband or whoever. And now you're trying to get right with them about it, but they don't want to. They're not going to forgive you. And what I was taught when I went to church is if you, right, you did the right thing and you got right about it, you went to that person either face to face, on the phone, or it could be on like social media like Facebook or Instagram, and you said, I am sorry. I messed up. But they didn't forgive you. They did not forgive you, and so they bring it up later on in your face. And then you're like, wait a minute, like, I did the right thing. I confessed to you. I said I'm sorry, but now you're bringing it up in my face. So I was taught when I went to church is if you, right, if you confessed to your friend or whoever, even family members, maybe you did something wrong to your family members, and you got right, either face to face or a letter. A letter is another way. Or on your phone, like on a phone talking, or texting, which is not really preferred at all, or an email like Instagram or Facebook, and you said, hey, I am sorry, I messed up. I was just having a really bad day. But they're the ones that have the problem. It's not you anymore. It's them. They're the ones that have a problem. It's not your problem anymore. It's their problem. Now, they're not forgiving you, because if they forgave you, they wouldn't be bringing it back up in your face, right? So what I was taught when I went to church is if you got right with somebody, but they are not willing to forgive you, you need to let it go and let God take care of the problem. Let them deal with it. Don't say sorry anymore to that person, because you already did. You don't need to repeat it anymore. You already said that you're sorry. You meant it with your heart, wholeheartedly. That means you just got to let it go. It's not your problem. You did your thing. Now they have to correct the issue in their heart, because you already got right in your heart with that person that you said you're sorry to, and then the next day, what are they doing? Running their mouth about it. So you gotta let it, that's their problem. You already got right with it. So don't feel bad about that they can't forgive you. That's something that they got to deal with on their own. As long as you got your heart right with them, let it go. It just shows that they have an area that they got to work on. Maybe they got an issue that they have a hard time forgiving people, where they're going to end up, like in the future, they're going to say, hey, like, I remember what you did, really, do you want to get involved with that person? Like if it's maybe you got a friend out there and you said you're sorry to them, but they're not forgiving you. They want to bring it up. They want to, like rub it in your face and make you feel bad. And, like, so really, like how is a relationship down the road going to be if they can't forgive you when you already said that you're sorry? You really got to really think about who you're getting hooked up with. And that goes for like even friends, like relationships, like or your mom and dad, if they can't forgive you for something that you did a long time ago and you said, hey, I was a kid, you know, yeah, I stole from you, but what kind of example were you? I only learned from you. Yeah, I did lie, but you were the example to me, and that I lied because you taught me to lie. I stole because you taught me to steal. So if you got right and you said, hey, I was a kid, forgive me. But if they keep on bringing it up, maybe you don't want to hang out with your family or friends or anymore. Maybe they're not the right kind of people for you to be around. Because, like as far as relationship goes, it's very important. You got to forgive each other about, like your shortcomings. You shouldn't be rubbing it in their face the next day after they got done saying they're sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, here you go. I'm going to give you a what for the next day. Really? Why? I already got right with you about that. Why are you bringing that up? So who's got the issue? Is it you that says you're sorry, or is it them? It's them. You already did your part. Let it go. You got to let it go. It's something that, the universe has got to work with them on. You might have to walk away, and let them deal with that, where that's an area that they got to work with. Like, so that's what I was taught as a Christian is really you gotta, if you already did your part, is you gotta let it go. Don't beat yourself up over it. And it isn't worth it. And if you do have a hard time forgiving people, it's going to be really what it is. It's going to block you to other things that maybe things in your life are not going right because you are not forgiving somebody. They hurt you. You're hurt. They said something or did something. You're hurt. And now you're not forgiving them. They said they're sorry, but no, you don't want to forgive them. where you gotta, and that's why these things are, these doors, say if they're doors of opportunities in life, maybe it's a job that you want to get, maybe there's a relationship that you want to get involved into. Maybe, you want to travel the world. Maybe you want to be abundant, be rich, and have all this and that. Maybe you want to have a beautiful family, but for some reason nothing ever happens because there's things that are blocking those doorways, and it's in your heart space, so, and not only forgiving other people is you got to forgive yourself, like if you have done wrong to other people and you feel bad, that happens to me a lot. I feel horrible. I feel worse when I do things to other people than I do when I do it to myself. So if I hurt somebody out there, you know, really, I put enough damage on myself that they don't have to punish me with it. I've already done the punishment already to myself. I already punished myself for what I did wrong. I felt horrible for what I did. When I do anything wrong to anybody else, I feel horrible. Anything. I beat myself up, and the universe does not want me to beat myself up over that anymore. The universe wants me to forgive myself, and that could be my block in my life. Why things are not going the way I desire to have them to go is because I can't let other people affect me like that, putting a guilt trip on me, making me feel littler than I am already, like belittling me, making me feel guilty, about something that I did, something I said, and now they could be belittling you and making you feel guilty about what you did 2 days ago because you already got right with the problem, but they haven't got right with the problem. Maybe you offended them, and it really hit core, like in their heart space, so it could be an area that they have to work on, so you gotta forgive others, and like forgive yourself, like if you did wrong and you got right with the person about it, and like if they can't forgive you, it's not your problem. Then you got to learn to forgive yourself. You need to say, hey, you know what, I did what I could do. I got right with that problem, and don't bring it up. Don't keep on, like anytime you think of that person, think, oh, I hurt their feelings. Oh, I hurt their feelings. Oh, I hurt their feelings. I hurt them. I love this person, but I hurt them, and I did it so many times that like I keep on hurting them, and I don't need to. Where you don't want to beat yourself up over, like messing up. But as long as you're always out there saying you're sorry and doing your part, let them work on what they got to work on. Let them work on their space. Maybe they got a hard time forgiving other people when they have been wronged, and I really, like it could be a prideful thing about like not letting anybody affect you in that way. And if it does happen by accident, maybe it's something that they have to work in their heart space with. So, it is so serious for any kind of relationship out there, whether it's your family member or, like a friend or a loved one, is that you have to learn to forgive each other, like especially if they came to you and they said they're sorry, and even if they didn't say they're sorry, it is wise to go to them and let them know, hey, you offended me this way. I we ought to really talk about this problem, because that's how any friendship or relationship is going to work out, is if you communicate, and maybe the person didn't even know they affected you, or offended you. And maybe something came out of your mouth the wrong way and you weren't even aware of it. So you really do. You really need to be clear, like and communicate in any kind of relationship, and if you let it go, it's going to hurt your heart space. You're going to, like it's like this little, at the beginning, right? Remember, it's flat. Now you got this, this is what I was always doing is now you got a pile of sand up here, like, and whoops, pile of sand. I got to get this right. And now you're building a pile of sand and it gets bigger, and where really you don't need it to be a mountain. Before you know it, you're gonna, like, I've had mountains in my life where, like if I had like a checklist of all the things they did wrong to me, because I didn't communicate with that person, or I did try to communicate with that person and they manipulated me or tricked me and, or whatever, or make me believe it was my problem, not their problem, because they were mind playing with me, is that, the mountain, how big are you going to let that mountain get? And that's part of your heart space, really, by letting that, if you're going to still hang out with, those people you might not want to be around if the mountain's that huge of things that they've done repeatedly over all kinds of things. You might have to let that person go. If you try to communicate and they've always got a way out of it or played mind games with you, you might have to let those people go. And you got to forgive them and forgive yourself. Those are all blockages that are, not only stopping me and stopping you, where, like if I beat myself up because of something I did 3 days ago, that's a block. But if you can't forgive me what I did 3 days ago, then that's a block for you. We're both at fault now, because I got to be gentle with myself. I got to love myself for who I am. I got to let go. I can't keep on beating myself up over something I already got right about with. I can't keep on doing that. It's not good for my mental state of mind. So it is so vitally important that you understand this, that you really do. You need to forgive other people and forgive yourself. And anyway, I'm so sorry for this being long. There's so much into this topic, and like it's just so much in this topic. There's so many angles and things to talk about on this about forgiving people, because I got a little sidetracked with about honesty. Honesty is so important, and that's a big issue in the world with people, is honesty or dishonesty. It's not so much about being honest; it's about being dishonest. So anyway, and I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? Just being funny with you. Um, so yeah, if you are that type of person that always does get right with people and they cannot forgive you, you really got to question, like what kind of friendship do you really have? Because if you were thinking about getting with them, as a maybe a boyfriend or a girlfriend, well, you're going to have problems, because then they're not going to forgive you about stuff. If they can't forgive you now when you're in a friendship relationship, then how are they going to forgive you when you are in a real serious relationship, or even worse, getting married to that person? So you definitely got to forgive each other in any kind of relationship, no matter what kind of relationship is, whether you're family, friend, or, like a loved one or your kids. Got to be honest, got to be forgiven. Forgive your kids. Forgive your kids for all they're going to make mistakes. Forgive your mom and dad, because you know what? They're just human. They have a lot to learn also. And forgive your friends, forgive your friends, forgive your husband, forgive your wife, forgive your boyfriend, forgive your girlfriend, forgive that stranger that did what to you? How many years ago was it? Really, you got to, because it's only blocking all these other things that, God wants, the universe wants to bless you with. So you got to let that stuff go in order for all this other stuff to come and play. So I got myself right, you know, um, with things, so I am, like I got a clean slate, I'm always saying sorry, so when I say sorry to somebody, it's not made up, it's real deal, so and like I said, sorry for making this so long. Please, will you forgive Starlight for making these videos so long? Thank you. So anyway, I love all of you. I hope you really get a lot of help, and this could be a big eye-opener for you, wondering why things are not happening the way you want them, because you're blocking your blessings by behaving that way, and you're really ruining your heart space. It's really, and that's why you feel that pain inside your heart space like you do, it's because you got to let go. You got to release that stuff, and you can. And I have a video out there on meditation, and I do want to make another one about like a meditation that, like you can do all kinds of meditations out there to help you to clear that stuff out of your heart space. You don't want to hold that stuff, bitterness, strife, and all anger and envy and all that stuff in your heart space, because you're going to be miserable the rest of your life if you don't clear that out. So I love all of you. I hope you get a lot of help. You can give this video a thumbs up. You could share this video with a friend or family member, like a loved one or whoever, or your dog, your cat, your bird. I like all of them. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave a message down below, and you get a bonus. If you can get a hold of me on my Instagram, and that is 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook at Kathy with a K, Digment Starlight. So those are 3 ways that you can leave me a message. And I hope, really get right with those people if you haven't been. Get right with them. Tell them that you're sorry. You could, you'd feel a whole lot better. And also forgive those people that have done you wrong. Let it go. Don't keep on bringing it up, because if you keep on bringing it up, it's not a good indicator, really. Like, you got to let it go. It is not easy. Like, forget all about it. You might have to actually get them out of your life to really be able to heal from that person, because it could be a reminder all the time of what they did, where it could be hurting you. And so anyway, I do love all of you. This is Starlight. Love and light. Peace.